Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've been gone for like more than a week now, and that's very rare because it's summer, but I've been having kind of a lot in my hands and I haven't been able to record, but I'm back. So I'm gonna be uploading more frequently, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you don't miss a video, so click that notification bell, bro. So today I'm gonna be doing a video that I've been actually wanting to do for a very long time. I'm covering a murder case that happened back in 1973, but today I'm gonna be telling you the story of a little girl named Linda O'Keefe, I believe it's pronounced. So make sure to grab your bag of hot Cheetos, your popcorn, anything to enjoy this video, because I believe it is going to be a pretty long one, but very interesting. So let's get right on with the video. So I'm going to start with a few details about Linda, just so you kind of get to know the girl she was. So to start off, Linda O'Keefe was an 11-year-old that was 4 feet tall and only 85 pounds. She had brown hair and blue eyes, and she lived in a small house in Orchid Avenue. She had actually lived in the house with her family for most of her life. Linda was a person who wasn't very fond of school, although she was very good at spelling and she loved science class. She was also a person who loved doing arts. She liked playing the piano, she liked painting, and she liked doing crafts. She also loved cats, and I believe owned 3 of them. Linda was described as a very sensitive person by her mom, and when one of her cats died because of cancer, I believe, Linda did cry and was upset about it for a few weeks. At the time, Linda had actually been acting up, and one of her acting up actions was going home late. And this did worry her mom at the time, but she knew that Linda never went home later than sunset. Linda usually rode her bike to and from school. However, that morning her piano teacher actually gave her a ride to summer school. She had a pretty normal day. I believe she hadn't ate snack or lunch, so she was kind of on an empty stomach. As soon as the school day ended, Linda headed towards the school office to call her mom and ask her for a ride. However, she was told by the office lady that she had to wait to see if her mom came to pick her up on her own, or to see if she had to call her and ask her for a ride. So to kill time, Linda headed to a market nearby. That day, Linda was wearing a really pretty white dress with blue flowers on it that her mom actually made for her. As she was headed to the marketplace, one of her classmates noticed that there was a turquoise van stopping near her as she was walking. However, they weren't near enough to hear whether or not she was talking to someone inside of the van. After some time, Linda headed back to the school office and called her mom for a ride. However, her mom told her that she was really busy with the sewing project, so she would have to walk home alone. This upset Linda a lot, and she actually started crying. So as Linda was walking home, a mom that was driving by with her child actually saw a turquoise van, that same turquoise van, stop by the curb, and the passenger's door was open and Linda was standing right next to it. In the van, the witness could see that there was a white male in his mid-20s or early 30s. Back home, 3 hours passed and Linda's mom was actually beginning to worry. At first, she thought that she was just mad because she couldn't pick her up, which she knew she was, and that she was acting up a little bit, going home late, going around, going to a friend's house or something like that. So she wasn't so worried for about 2 hours. But as 3 hours passed, she got more and more worried, which is when she began to call her neighbors, her friends, and checking in to see if anybody had seen her. However, there was no sign of her with them. So this is when the family decided to get into 2 different cars. The dad was in one and her older sister, which was 18, was in another car. They began going around and looking for Linda. The family checked familiar places for Linda, such as the youth center and the community church, before they returned home unsuccessful. At 6:42 p.m., Linda was officially reported missing by the local police. Officers began searching everywhere. They searched vacant fields, which were very popular back then. They searched the Back Bay, they searched Fashion Island, the reservoir. She was nowhere to be found. They actually had helicopters, they had cars, they even got in jeeps so they could get into the areas regular cars couldn't. There were men on foot, everything, but Linda couldn't be found. This is when the police began to kind of get theories to see where it was most likely she would be in. So Linda had a close friend, Kathy, whose parents were gonna go on a sailing trip. And so Kathy asked Linda's parents if she could stay over, but her mom said no. So her mom thought that maybe she was very upset about that and that Linda and Kathy went on that sailing trip together. Eventually the police tracked down Kathy's parents' slip and they noticed the boat was gone. But right next to that slip was another boat full of men and they were able to interview them. So the men told them that they did see the boat leave, but the boat only had 6 adults in it, so there were no little girls in it. So the harbor department checked the Avalon harbor to see when Kathy's parents would come back, just so the police would make sure whether Linda was in the boat or not. So later that night, around 11 p.m., a woman in the bluffs just above the Back Bay heard a female voice screaming, "Stop, you're hurting me." This woman did not know Linda was missing since it was just the first day. Linda's parents were actually obviously very anxious. However, Linda's older sister was very convinced that she was alive and she was well, that she was just kind of like running away because she was acting up and that she would just be in big trouble when they would find her. The next morning, they were a group of men searching for a nature study. They were specifically looking for some frogs to study, I guess. So they were looking, I think, in these like ponds or in, you know, hidden places where frogs would be normally. This is when a man searching for the nature study found Linda's body. Linda's body was found just a few hundred yards away from that woman's house. The autopsy actually said that Linda died around midnight, which actually went along with what the woman heard, the screams, around 11 p.m. Linda was found strangled to death. After the findings of Linda's body, they started searching for the murderer. However, Linda's murderer wasn't found and this actually became a cold case. Fast forward to 45 years later in 2018, the police found a new lead. So it turned out that the killer had left some DNA in Linda's body or in the crime scene, I believe. And with the new technology in 2018, they were able to get like a face out of that DNA. So they got a face of what he would have looked like back then, and they got a face of what he would look like now with aging. So now finally the police had a face to search for. On Tuesday, February 19th, 2019, detectives arrested James Neal for murder. Linda Ann O'Keefe's murder. And well, finally this family got closure and they arrested the murderer 45 years later thanks to technology and some DNA that was left in the crime scene. I was searching for like murder cases to do a video about and I found this one and it kind of caught my eye because it was a case that was solved but was solved 45 years later. Like, that's just crazy. Like, she was just an 11-year-old. I believe there was no signs of like sexual violation or anything. I'm not sure why the killer did it, but all I know is that Linda was strangled to death. So yeah, that was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. I liked looking into this story because I like the fact that they solved it and actually found the murderer. However, it does suck that it took like 45 years to do so. Anyways, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell to never miss another video because I will be uploading more frequently. So stay tuned for that. I love you guys and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!